Welcome to the Deep Dive. Ready to explore something fascinating?
Absolutely. Always up for a deep dive.
Excellent. Today we're going on a journey.
Oh, where to?
We're diving into the world of Hui migration.
Oh.
For those interested in Chinese culture, history, heritage, all that good stuff.
Sounds right up our alley.
Exactly. We're going to uncover the reasons why the Hui people decided to uproot and start new lives elsewhere.
From their original home to places all over the world, right?
You got it. And we'll look at the lasting impact their journeys had, both on the Hui region itself and the places they settled.
I bet there are some incredible stories to uncover.
Oh, you bet there are. We'll go all the way back to ancient times. Some migrations even started in the Tang Dynasty. Can you believe that?
Wow. That's a long history of movement.
It really is. We're talking about journeys over land and sea, facing all sorts of challenges.
And building new lives in far-off places.
Exactly. It's a story about resilience, adaptation, and the human spirit.
I'm already hooked.
Me too. All right, let's set the scene.
Okay, I'm all ears.
We're talking about the Hui region in southeastern China, a region known for its beauty, its culture.
Right, but also for its people leaving to find new opportunities.
Precisely.
Yeah.
For centuries, the Hui region has been a place of departures, people looking for something better beyond its borders.
Centuries is right. I mean, we even see evidence of Hui people migrating as far back as the Tang Dynasty. Think they went to Southeast Asia.
You're spot on. Probably a mix of trade and just that adventurous spirit,
I can just picture them navigating those uncharted waters. Must have been exciting and scary all at the same time.
Definitely. And that drive to explore new horizons? Well, it didn't stop there. During the Ming and Qing dynasties, even more people migrated to Southeast Asia.
What was driving that, you think?
I'd say a lot of factors played into it. A growing population, not enough economic opportunities back home, and all those bustling trade centers in Southeast Asia drawing people in.
Makes sense. They saw a chance for a better life.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about faceless masses here. We have actual historical accounts of individuals making these journeys, like this guy, Lo Gi. Local histories say he led a whole group of people from Zuji Lane all the way down to the Pearl River Delta, back in the Southern Song Dynasty.
Wow. And I bet for every name recorded, there were countless others making similar journeys.
Absolutely. Each one with their own story to tell. These weren't just historical events. They were the lived experiences of so many people.
It's like a giant tapestry woven together by all those individual stories.
Exactly. And each new wave of migration added another layer to that tapestry,
making it even richer and more complex.
And you know what one of the most dramatic chapters in this story is? The California Gold Rush. Mid-19th century.
Ah, the gold rush. That's a famous one.
It is. Thousands of Hui people crossed the Pacific, all chasing that dream of Gold Mountain, they called it.
Hoping to strike it rich and escape the hardships they were facing back home.
Think about the buzz, the excitement, leaving everything behind and going to a completely new land, all for the chance of a better life.
You can really see that human drive for opportunity, that desire to improve one's situation, no matter the risk.
It's incredibly inspiring. But it's important to remember that Hui migration wasn't just about California or even North America.
Right. They went all over the place.
Yeah, like Canada, Cuba, Peru, Australia, all over the globe, a real global phenomena.
It's like they were spreading seeds of Hui culture everywhere they went, carried by these waves of migration.
Exactly, taking root in all these different places.
And those seeds weren't just scattered randomly, were they? Often they were planted in places where there were already Hui communities, providing support and familiarity for newcomers.
You're talking about chain migration, right?
Yeah.
People being drawn to places where they have connections.
Exactly. Relatives, friends, people who can help you get settled in a new and unfamiliar environment.
Like a safety net in a way. A bit of home in a foreign land.
It's more than just economics. It's about that sense of community, belonging, having someone to lean on when things get tough.
Absolutely. Those connections must have been vital, especially in those early days.
And they were often maintained through what they called silver letters.
Silver letters, what are those?
Basically, letters from migrants back home that had money tucked inside. But they also had news, stories, even bits of culture from those distant lands. Imagine receiving one of those letters, a tangible connection to a loved one who had ventured out into the world.
They must have been treasured possessions, a way to share experiences and stay connected despite the distance.
They were. And they also highlight the economic impact of migration. Remittances became a vital source of income for many families back in the Hui region.
So we've got this flow of people and money, this intricate web stretching across continents, And that had to have a major impact on the Wei region itself, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It shaped its development, both economically and culturally.
But before we dive into that, let's take a step back and explore what exactly prompted these incredible journeys.
Right. What made people leave their homes and everything they knew to embark on these uncertain paths?
It had to be more than just a thirst for adventure. What were the push and pull factors that shaped the decisions of these Wei migrants?
Now, that's a question worth exploring. Well, it was a mix of things, really, both pushing people away from the Wei region and pulling them towards new destinations. Let's start with the push factor, shall we?
Sure, let's talk about what was making people want to leave in the first place.
Poverty played a big role. A lot of people in the Wei region struggled to make ends meet.
Yeah, even though the region is beautiful, life wasn't always easy there.
Exactly. The Wei region had its share of challenges. You had natural disasters like typhoons and floods. Those could wipe out crops and really disrupt people's livelihoods.
It's hard to get ahead when you're constantly dealing with those kinds of setbacks.
For sure. And then you had social unrest on top of that, like the Taiping Rebellion in the mid-1800s.
Ah, yes, the Taiping Rebellion. A brutal civil war. Millions of lives lost and widespread chaos.
Exactly. When you have that kind of instability and danger, people naturally start looking for safer, more secure places to live.
Makes sense. It's like they were trying to escape all that turmoil.
And even if they managed to avoid those kinds of major upheavals, there were still limited opportunities within the Wei region itself.
So even if they stayed, it was tough to improve their situation.
It was. Think about it. Most people relied on agriculture. But there weren't a lot of other options if farming wasn't working out. Plus, a lot of the land was owned by just a handful of people,
Leaving many families struggling to survive. So it's like they were stuck between a rock and a hard place.
pretty much. Hardship at home, limited opportunities. No wonder so many people started looking beyond their immediate surroundings. They needed a chance at a better future.
So that's where the pull factors come into play, right? The things that were drawing people to new destinations.
Exactly. And one of the biggest draws was economic opportunity.
The classic story of seeking fortune in a new land.
It is. Things like gold rushes or labor shortages in growing industries, like railroads, agriculture. These were all opportunities to earn a steady income and maybe even get ahead.
And for some, it worked. They sent money back home, helped their families escape poverty, build whole new lives for themselves in these new places.
It's remarkable, isn't it? The courage it took to make those journeys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But remember, it wasn't just individual dreams that were driving this. We talked about chain migration earlier. That played a huge role as well.
Right, that ripple effect. Imagine getting a letter from a relative abroad telling you about the good life they're living, the opportunities waiting for you.
Yeah, it's more than just money. It's the stories, the hope they carried, a vision of a brighter future.
Exactly. And those silver letters, as they called them, weren't just about sharing good news. They also contained money that could dramatically change a family's life.
It must have been incredible for a family struggling to make ends meet to suddenly have some financial breathing room. They could educate their children, maybe even start a business.
It's amazing to think about.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, right? Did this create a dependency on those remittances? Did it change the power dynamics within families and communities?
That's a really interesting question. It shows just how complex this whole migration story is. It wasn't just hardship pushing people out and opportunity pulling them in.
Exactly. There were all these social and emotional factors at play, too. A whole web of relationships influencing decisions and shaping lives.
So we've got these push and pull factors, this network of support, this incredible movement of people driven by a mix of hardship and hope. But how do they actually get to these new destinations?
Ah, yes, the journey itself.
Especially in the early days, it couldn't have been easy.
Not at all. Let's say you're a Wei migrant in the late 19th century. Your journey probably started with a long, difficult trip overland.
To reach a port city like Guangzhou or Hong Kong?
Right. These cities were like gateways to the world, full of activity, full of possibilities, and probably a bit overwhelming, too.
And then came the voyage itself.
Weeks, sometimes months at sea, crammed into a steamship.
I can't even imagine. Limited sanitation, the constant threat of disease, storms.
It took incredible strength and resilience to endure those conditions. And it wasn't just the physical hardships. They were leaving everything behind, entering a world where everything was different, the language, the customs, even the air they breathed.
It must have felt like landing on another planet. Everything
Yeah.
unfamiliar, everyone speaking a language you don't understand.
Absolutely. And in that kind of disorienting situation, those connections, those silver letters, they become even more important.
A reminder of home, of who they were, even as they were building a new life in this strange new land.
Exactly. And as technology advanced, those journeys changed too. The railroads, for example, they transformed migration in a big way.
Right, both within China and internationally.
Within China, the railroads connected those rural communities to the port cities.
Making it easier for people to leave the Siyi region if they chose to.
Exactly. It was like these ribbons of steel were not just transporting people, but accelerating the flow of ideas and opportunities too.
Fascinating. And internationally.
Well, internationally, railroads became a major way to recruit labor. Think about the Canadian Pacific Railway. They relied heavily on Chinese labor, a lot of it from the Siyi region.
So new opportunities, but often harsh conditions as well.
That's right. It's a reminder that even when opportunity knocked, it often came with a price.
New challenges to overcome.
Exactly. And then as we moved into the 20th century, air travel gradually became more common.
Making those long journeys faster and maybe a bit less intimidating.
In some ways, yes, but even with those technological advancements, migration remained complex, driven by personal goals, economic needs, political forces, and that age-old desire for a better life.
Right. It's never a simple story. So we've traced these incredible journeys. But let's talk destinations, because it wasn't just one place, right? We're talking about a wee diaspora, communities springing up all over the globe.
You got it. And each destination had its own unique character, its own set of opportunities and challenges, shaping the experiences of the wee people who settled there.
Let's start with Southeast Asia. There's a long history of connection between Southeast Asia and the Siyi region.
Definitely. We're talking about places like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand. Wee migrants built thriving communities in all those countries.
They became part of the very fabric of those societies.
They did. And it wasn't just about preserving their wee culture in these new places. It was about blending traditions, adapting to new environments, creating something new and unique.
A real cultural fusion.
Exactly. And those cultural seeds were also planted in North America, especially after the gold rush.
California became a major hub for Siyi migrants, didn't it?
It did. Initially drawn by the gold, of course. But later they found opportunities in agriculture, industry, all sorts of things.
And don't forget about Canada.
Oh, right. British Columbia, especially. A lot of wee migrants ended up there, especially those who worked on the Canadian Pacific Railway.
They faced their share of difficulties, I'm sure. Discrimination, prejudice.
They did. But they also showed incredible resilience, building businesses, establishing cultural organizations, contributing to their new home in so many ways.
Their stories are woven into the history of North America.
They are. And speaking of connections, we can't forget about the role of Hong Kong in all of this.
Right. Hong Kong was a crucial transit point for so many Wui migrants.
It was. Think of it as a hub, a place to process paperwork, find passage on a ship, connect with people who could help you on your journey.
For some, it was a temporary stop. For others, it became their new home.
Exactly. But no matter where they ended up, Hong Kong played a crucial role in this whole story. It connected the Wii region to the wider world.
Like a thread running through this tapestry we've been talking about, connecting all those diverse experiences.
It really is. And those connections, those threads stretching across continents and oceans, they had a profound impact, not just on the migrants themselves, but on the Wii region as well.
That's what I was thinking. All this movement, it had to leave a mark back home, didn't it? Let's talk about how the Wii region itself was transformed by those waves of migration.
We've been talking about those who left, right? But the Wii region itself, it wasn't just about people leaving.
You're right. It's like a two-way street. Those who migrated, they also had a huge impact on the region they left behind.
Totally. They shaped its economy, its social structures, even its architecture.
It's amazing how those who left were still connected to their homeland, even from far away, sending money back, but also bringing new ideas and influences.
Exactly. They transformed the Wii region in so many ways.
Let's start with the economic side of things. We talked about those silver letters, the money migrants sent back to their families.
The remittances, right?
Exactly. But it wasn't just individual families benefiting. Those remittances had a much wider impact on the whole region.
Imagine villages struggling with poverty. Then all of a sudden, new houses are being built, schools are getting funding, new businesses are popping up. That money from abroad really changed things.
It's like they were investing in the future of their homeland, even while building new lives somewhere else.
Absolutely. And they didn't just send money. A lot of those who returned brought back new skills and ideas from abroad.
So they weren't just helping financially, but also sharing knowledge and a global perspective.
Exactly. Think about it. They might introduce new farming techniques, invest in local businesses, even start companies that created jobs for people in the Siyi region.
It's really cool how migration created this exchange of resources and knowledge that benefited everyone.
It did. But of course, it's never that simple, right? There were downsides too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Some people argued that relying on those remittances, well, it made the region dependent on outside money, that it might have discouraged people from coming up with their own solutions and innovations.
And there were probably worries about people leaving to find work elsewhere, especially in agriculture.
Exactly. A shortage of labor. It makes you wonder, is migration ultimately good or bad for a region? It's a tough question.
Really complex, with both pros and cons. We have to look at all sides of the story.
Totally. It's not just black and white.
Okay, so beyond economics, what about the social and cultural impact on the Siyi region? We keep coming back to those silver letters, and I'm curious, what else was in those letters besides money?
Oh, so much more. News from faraway lands, stories of a different way of life, even customs and traditions from those new places.
It's like getting a window into another world. You start to see things from a different perspective.
Exactly. And those ideas, they spread, they change things. You see this amazing mix of tradition and new ideas all blended together.
Like a cultural fusion. And it wasn't just letters, was it?
Yeah. Nope. Those who came back after living abroad, they brought their experiences with them. They influenced fashion, food, even architecture.
Oh yeah, the architect.
Think about those incredible Kaiping Dialu, those fortified towers.
The ones that look like castles.
Those are them. A lot of those were built by overseas Chinese who returned to the Siyi region. They combined traditional Chinese designs with Western architectural ideas. They're really unique.
They really do look like something from a fairy tale.
They're a visual reminder of this whole migration story, blending East and West, showing how adaptable and creative the Siyi people were.
I love that. And those social organizations we talked about earlier, like the hometown associations, they played a big part too, right?
Oh, definitely. Those associations were all about keeping traditions alive and supporting both those who stayed and those who left.
Creating a sense of community, even across huge distances.
Exactly. So, yes, migration led to a lot of changes in the Siyi region, but it also helped strengthen their shared identity and connection to their heritage.
It's interesting how something that took people away actually helped bring them together.
It is. And these days, with technology, those connections are even stronger.
Yeah, it's not just letters anymore. Think about social media, video calls.
Exactly. Siyi descendants all over the world can connect instantly, share news and business opportunities.
Like those silver letters have gone digital, creating this global network of connections.
It's pretty amazing. And this digital connection is shaping the Siyi region's future too. We're seeing more and more Siyi descendants coming back to explore their ancestral homeland.
Roots tourism, right. It's becoming really popular.
It is. They're coming back to connect with their heritage, maybe even invest in local projects.
So migration, which once seemed like a loss for the Siyi region, is now helping it thrive.
Totally. It's helping revitalize communities, keep those traditions alive, and build a future that honors those who came before.
It's a powerful reminder of how connected we all are, regardless of distance. And that's what's so fascinating about this story. It's about resilience, about cultural exchange, and about the enduring bond people have with their homeland.
Absolutely. And for those listening, I hope this deep dive has sparked a curiosity to explore these connections further, to delve into the rich tapestry of Siyi culture and history, and maybe even uncover the threads that connect your own story to this amazing journey.
I agree. Maybe it's time to plan a trip to the Siyi region, to walk those ancient streets, to see those incredible Kaiping Dialu in person.
Or maybe it's about tracing your family history, discovering your own roots in the Siyi region.
No matter what path you choose, we hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective, a deeper understanding of Chinese culture and history.
And a sense of awe for the human spirit that connects us all.
That's beautifully said. Well, folks, that's a wrap on our exploration of Siyi migration. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.